It's the 8th of January 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team. I am Jaimal Ratnaika.
And I am Rochelle Bimodra. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Private bus owners meet acting IGP. Strike called off.
අංගෝපාංග ගලවන එකට මාස 3ක වගේ කාල සීමාව දෙන හැකු අප්‍රාය දූතය ඇතුලේ ඉඳගෙන ඒ රියදුරාගේ මනස වෙනස් කරනවා නේ ඒ රියදුරාට එතනින් එහාට ගමනක් යන්න බෑ. පියේ යෝජනා කරුවා ගමනාන්තයේදී වැරද්ද යාට පෙන්නන්න.
තෙහිදී පොලිස්පතිවරයා දැනුම් දීමක් සිදු කළේ මෙම ක්‍රියාවලිය මහජනතාවයට අපහසුතාවයක් නොවන ආකාරයට තවදුරටත් සිදු කරන බවටයි.
Do ministers need foreign ministers' permission to meet ambassadors?
මේක උතුරු කොරියාව වගේද? තානාපති කෙනෙකුට ගිහිල්ලා හම්බෙන්න බෑ අමති කෙනෙක්. දැන් මං ඕස්ට්‍රේලියන් හයි කමිෂනර් හම්බෙලා ආවේ දැන් එතුමා මේ තාම ඇතුලේ. මං ඔබතුමා මුණ ගැස්සන්න.
Are politicians behind Janaka Pereira's assassination? Relatives approach ministry again. EDCA not signed yet, emphasizes Deputy Minister Chaturanga Abesingha. Gamadda ready to go door to door starting tomorrow.
Today, if the media and the people of our country enjoy the democratic right to express opinions and report information, it is thanks to the sacrifices of many. Among these individuals, one stands out prominently. Lasantha Vikramatunga, the editor of the Sunday Leader. A fearless journalist, a father, a loving husband, and a close friend to us at Sirasa. Lasantha was known for his courageous reporting on corruption, fraud, threats, and oppression by the government at the time. It has been 16 years since the pen of this brave journalist was silenced. On the 8th of January 2009 at 10:25 a.m., Lasantha was murdered on Attidia Road. At the time, he only had his pen and notebook with him. It was revealed that a group of individuals on motorcycles carried out the attack. There were various speculations about whether he was shot or killed with a specialized sharp weapon. Investigators have previously disclosed different findings. However, those who murdered Lasantha and those responsible for his death have not yet been brought to justice. Promises were made by various governments that came to power. Lasantha's body was exhumed, but the criminals and their accomplices remain free. Although Lasantha's life was taken, the journey he envisioned has not ended. We continue to fight for freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and the right to information, walking the path he paved. Today's youth, who may not have seen or heard of Lasantha, freely express their opinions on platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, thanks to the sacrifices made by individuals like him. Lasantha, you are immortal. Today, family members gathered at the Colombo cemetery to remember Lasantha Vikramatunga, the editor of the Sunday Leader. Among them were journalists and civil activists.
අවුරුදු 16 කාලේදී ආණ්ඩු 4ක් තිබුණා. මට දැන් තේරෙන විදිය.
Over the past decade, there have been 4 governments. It seems that none of these governments had the political will to pursue justice. However, this government has promised to resolve not only this case, but all similarly important cases. For the first time, we have hope that President Anurukumara Dissanayaka's administration will seek justice and truth.
ආධාරණයක් සත්‍ය හොයන එක වෙයි කියන එකේ බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා.
Do ministers need the foreign minister's permission to meet ambassadors? Is the government not investigating corruption? These questions were raised by the opposition in Parliament today, and the government provided responses.
A new circular has been issued by the Presidential Secretariat. According to this, ministers cannot meet the foreign ambassadors without the approval of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is now like North Korea. A minister cannot meet an ambassador without permission from the foreign minister.
මේ දැන් මං ඕස්ට්‍රේලියන් හයි කමිෂනර් හම්බෙලා ආවේ දැන් එතුමා මේ තාම ඇතුලේ මං ඔබතුමා මුණ ගැස්සන්න දැසිර එතුමා මුණ ගැහෙනවද ඕස්ට්‍රේලියන් හයි කමිෂනර් ඕක බලන්න ඕනේ මං කරපු දේ
නලින්ද ජයතිස්ස සෞඛ්‍ය ඇමතුමා
Minister of Health Nalinda Jayatissa criticized the Basnayaka Nilame of Kataragama Devalaya and even insulted the gods. He said they have enough money. We ask if there is enough money, why can't the 18% VAT on medicines be removed? The people of this country voted for a government that would prevent corruption, fraud and theft and punish those responsible. They did not vote for a government to remove grapevines and bushes, Buddha statues or mirrors from three-wheelers. I believe the former chairman of the Anti-Corruption Committee of the Good Governance Government is now the president of the country. The former secretary of the Anti-Corruption Committee is now the Minister of Police.
සභාපතිවරයා දැන් රටේ ජනාධිපති. දූෂණ විරෝධී කමිටුවේ හිටපු ලේකම් දැන් රටේ පොලිස් ඇමති.
අපේ ගරු ජනාධිපති
President Anurukumara Dissanayaka was never the chairman of any anti-corruption committee. That is a false statement. I served as a director of the Secretariat of the Anti-Corruption Committees. That is a separate matter.
දූෂණ මර්දන කමිටු ලේකම් කාර්යාලයේ අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයා හිටින මම කටයුතු කළා. ඒක වෙනම කාරණයක්. ඒ ප්‍රකාශය විකෘති කරලා
That statement was distorted and published by social media channels. The Basnayaka Nilame of Kataragama, who initiated the unit for bone marrow transplants, had no issue with it. Similarly, the director of the Maharagama Apeksha Hospital, Dr. Aruna Jayasekara, and his team had no issue with it. That comment was what was taken by media. I know why he is so angry to make that statement. It was not about that incident, but because I mentioned those who took money from the President's Fund during the previous parliamentary week, the name of former ministers Dharmadasa Banda was mentioned. In 2009, he took 1 million rupees from the President's Fund. The person who could not care for his uncle is now criticizing us.
තමන්ගේ මාමට සලක් ගන්න බැරි වෙච්ච බෑනා තමයි දැන් ඔය කියන්නේ ඒක කතරගම අරමුදල් දැම්මනම් එහෙම ඒකෙන් රටේ ජනතාවට උදව් කරන්න තිබ්බා. ඒක නිසා බාප්පද? බාප්පා.
Instead of doing that, he took money from the President's Fund and now is making accusations. If he is here, I would like him to respond. Regarding my uncle, former minister Dharmadasa Banda, yes, he was the Basnayaka Nilame of Kataragama Devalaya. The JVP planted 3 bombs there. He took that money for those operations and necessary treatments.
The Lanka Private Bus Owners Association decided to call off the planned strike after a discussion with the Acting Inspector General of Police today.
Representatives from the bus associations and officials from the Road Transport Authority were summoned to the police headquarters. Initially, Gamanu Vijayaratna was not granted permission to bring his vehicle into the police headquarters, so he parked it by the roadside. Later, he was allowed to bring his vehicle into the police headquarters premises.
අපිට සාධනීය සාකච්ඡාවක් සාර්ථක සාකච්ඡාවක් පොලිස්
We had a reasonable and successful discussion with the Acting Inspector General of Police. I believe the President also participated in various instances with the Acting Inspector General of Police. As an association, we decided to call off the bus strike. There are two agreements. One is to resolve the issues with the unified schedules within 3 months as per the Supreme Court's decision in consultation with the President. The other is to provide a 3-month period for removing accessories. All these actions will not be carried out on the main road. It is important to clarify that these will not be done on the main road. When done on the main road, it causes problems for everyone. Therefore, we promised not to carry out these activities on the main road. If a driver is operating a vehicle and an undercover agent is inside trying to change the driver's mind, the driver cannot continue the journey. This could lead to a major accident. The police officer must understand that it is wrong to do so. After the journey ends, the driver should be shown their mistake. We suggested pointing out the mistake at the end of the journey.
The police spokesperson also clarified details regarding the discussion.
එහිදී පොලිස්පතිවරයා විසින් බස් රථ හිමියන් සඳහා දැනුම් දුන්නා.
During the meeting, the Acting Inspector General of Police informed the bus owners that road discipline is a measure of a country's status. Accordingly, the current operations to establish road discipline are being conducted using existing laws free from political interference. Representatives of the private bus owners requested an extension of the 2-week period given for the removal or legal compliance of decorative parts installed on vehicles, stating that it was insufficient. They requested a 3-month period instead. The Acting Inspector General of Police agreed that if these installations contribute to or exacerbate accidents, the police would take action to remove them. Otherwise, the bus owners would be given 3 months to either register these installations legally or remove them to comply with the law. Additionally, the bus owners requested that plainclothes police officers limit their actions against bus drivers' violations to avoid causing inconvenience to the public. The Acting Inspector General of Police assured that this process would continue in a manner that does not inconvenience the public.
මෙම ක්‍රියාවලිය මහජනතාවයට අපහසුතාවයක් නොවන ආකාරයට තවදුරටත් සිදු කරන බවටයි.
Sri Lanka's Prime Minister and Public Security Minister elaborated on the Clean Sri Lanka program during today's parliamentary session.
Clean Sri Lanka වැඩසටහනේ මූලික අරමුණු
The primary goals of the Clean Sri Lanka program are to inspire, guide and emphasize the need for change, thereby bringing about positive transformations within Sri Lankan society. Secondly, to re-establish Sri Lanka as a developed nation by integrating social, ethical and environmental foundations into all national efforts, ensuring good governance concepts that promote sustainable development while preserving environmental, economic and social sustainability. The program aims to create a beautiful country filled with happy people by establishing recognized values and ethics for interactions and human relationships across all levels of Sri Lankan society. A presidential task force comprising 19 members, including experts and social activists from various fields, has been established to make a conceptual and policy decisions at the national level. To plan, manage, implement and review the progress of the program, a Clean Sri Lanka Secretariat has been set up under the Presidential Secretariat. Additionally, the councils operating at the divisional level will be established under a formal legal framework, ensuring the participation and representation of all individuals within the division.
සියලු දෙනාගේම සහභාගීත්වය ඇතුළුව සියලු දෙනාම නියෝජනය වන පරිදි මේ සභාව පිහිටුවන්න අපේක්ෂා කරනවා.
සමහර රාජ්‍ය ආයතන සිදු කරන සමහර වැඩසටහන් සමහර රාජ්‍ය ආයතන වල තියෙන මැදිහත් වීම විසින් සමාජය තුළ යම් නොසන්සුන්කමක් తాවකාලිකව ඇතිවීමෙන් තිබෙනවා.
මේ අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන වැඩසටහන මේ බලාපොරොත්තු
We expect this program and the anticipated transformation to be implemented with the participation, consent and agreement of everyone, not through force. This concept requires time to be understood and we acknowledge that. This is a new initiative for us as well. We believe that with genuine desire and understanding, we can move forward with this. Due to its importance and the ongoing discussions, we hope to allocate 2 days during the parliamentary week of January 21st to the 22nd for a debate on Clean Sri Lanka to raise public awareness.
Clean Sri Lanka පිළිබඳ විවාදයක් ලබා දීමටත් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
පොලිසියෙන් නවත්තනවා බස් එක. පොලිසියෙන් බස් එක නවත්තලා බස් එකේ තියෙන අර සවි කරපු කොටස් ගලවනවා.
The police are stopping buses and removing installed parts. I said that illegal parts should be removed. Now there are hood racks and ladders on buses. The police are asking to remove the ladders. If not removed, the route permit will be cancelled. So if the ladders are removed, what is expected from this? Then the hood rack should also be removed. This is not something that can be easily done. From the beginning of the day, what is being done is causing inconvenience to everyone. This is how the government was brought to power. What is being done now is not the removal of all parts from buses. For a long time, certain accessories contributing to road accidents have been illegal. These are the parts being removed. You know that in the past 4 years alone, 12,600 people in this country have lost their lives due to road accidents. Therefore, the parts causing these accidents are being removed. This is an awareness campaign or educational program that has been extended from 2 weeks to 3 months. It is necessary to achieve this with the agreement and awareness of bus and three-wheeler drivers, school children and everyone involved. Do not attempt to give different interpretations to the Clean Sri Lanka program. We have decided to launch this program with the participation of the public.
Relatives of Major General Janaka Perera have once again lodged a complaint with the Ministry of Public Security requesting a renewed investigation into his assassination.
Major General Janaka Perera was killed in a bomb attack at the Anuradhapura Party office on the 6th of September 2008 while he was contesting for the position of Chief Minister of the North Central Provincial Council. The attack resulted in the deaths of his wife and 31 others. At the time, it was declared to be a suicide bombing carried out by the LTTE. However, expressing doubts about the assassination, his relatives have once again approached the Ministry of Public Security today, seeking further investigation.
I have also developed a visual impairment. It is essential to determine whether this act was carried out by the LTTE or if it was politically motivated. We have previously raised this issue, but it was like asking a thief's mother for the truth. However, we now have a government committed to uncovering the truth and taking appropriate action. Therefore, we have requested a fair investigation into this matter and have lodged our complaint.
Up next is what happened to the village, where we bring details of how millions allocated for a project went to waste.
What happened to the village?
The sight of dilapidated buildings along the Mathura-Deniyai road has become all too familiar. In 2018, construction began on a National Youth Corps training center, promising new hope for unemployed youth. Now, 7 years later, the situation is dire.
ගොඩනැගිලි 4-5ක් විතර තියෙනවා. කඩා වැටෙන ඕනේ මේ කොම අඩවිය වගේ කැලේ වෙලා දැන් සත්තු සර්පේ තියෙනවා. යෝග වහින කාලට ක්ලබ් එකේ වතුර පිරিলা ඒ සති ගහනක් එක බහින්නෙත් නෑ. ඩෙන්ගු නම් මේ ලේඩවල් මුල දිනට පුළුවන්.
දැන් අවුරුදු 6ක 7ක කාලයක් තිස්සේ මේ ගොඩනැගිලි ටික ඕම දේ รา පත් වෙලා කඩා වැටෙන තත්වයට දැන්පත් වෙලා. මේක මම හිතන්නේ මහජනයාගේ මුදල්. මේක කිසියම් වැඩකට මේක භාවිතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ ගැන කිසිම ඇඟීමක් නැතුව මේ මහජන මුදල් විනාශ කරලා තියෙනවා.
කෝටි 3මාරක මුදල් මංකොල්ල කාලා සිමෙන්ති කොට්ට 150ක් විතර ගල් වෙලා ඔක්කොම වීසි කළා යකඩාරෝ මේ ඔක්කොම වීසි කළා මෙතන මේ අපිට ලොකු ගාමන්ට් එකක් ගහලා දෙන්න වෙන කිසි දෙයක් අපිට අවශ්‍ය නැහැ ලොකු ගාමන්ට් එකක් ගැස්සොත් මෙතන ළමයි ඉන්න 500කට 5000කට එහා පැත්තේ ළමයි ඉගෙන ගත්තු ළමයි අපතේ ඉන්නේ රසාවල නැතුව.
The local community is well aware of those responsible for initiating these projects. Various reasons will be given now, but shouldn't these projects have been planned and executed with proper goals in mind? Those seeking power in the upcoming elections should investigate these matters thoroughly. If properly investigated, many hidden issues will come to light.
What happened to the village?
Starting tomorrow, the Gammat the Door-to-Door initiative will resume, further expanding its mission of over a decade. This program, conducted in collaboration with the University of Peradeniya, marks the initial phase of the annual Gammat the Work Plan.
Gammat the, conceptualized by former chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, R. Rajamahendran, is driven by the vision of data to truth, truth to action. The core of Gammat the lies in gathering data. The annual door-to-door initiative involves Gammat the teams visiting remote and underserved villages continuously for about a month. They meet with the residents, listen to their concerns and document these issues. This year, students from the University of Peradeniya are once again participating in the door-to-door program, aiming to compile the latest Gammat the annual report. The inaugural ceremony of the 8th phase of the 2025 door-to-door initiative was held this morning under the patronage of Sashi Rajamahendran, chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group. The event was organized by the Gammat the Secretariat. Attendees included Suresh Srinivasan, Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shivan Daniel, Group Director of Electronic Media Business, MTV, MBC, and leader of Gammat the, and Professor Thilak Wijetunga Bandara, head of the Department of Geography at the University of Peradeniya, among others.
Today we come together to launch the 8th edition of Gammat the's Door-to-Door initiative. This is a decision we made as a team, not a decision about work, but a purpose. All of us in news realized that reporting alone was not enough. We couldn't just stand by watching stories unfold, knowing we had the ability to do more. We decided as a team that we had to act, that if we truly wanted to serve our communities, we couldn't simply observe from a distance. We had to walk among the people, listen to their voices, and work hand in hand with them to make a difference. This initiative is built on that belief, but it doesn't stand on its own. It is carried forward by the incredible generosity of the Sri Lankan people. Time and time again, they have shown a deep and unwavering compassion for their fellow citizens, even when they themselves are struggling. That generosity comes with trust, and we keep our promise.
As we travel around the world, we see that Sri Lanka is self-sufficient. The coastal areas, lowlands and central highlands are rich in resources. We should be ashamed to call Sri Lanka poor. We should be proud of our country's self-sufficiency in water, vegetation and soil. Anything can grow anywhere here, so why can't we uplift our rural communities? Although we may not have had a clear vision, Mr. Rajamahendran has given us a golden idea. I believe this team can successfully implement his vision moving forward.
Everyone has worked very hard over the years to compile these reports. Each page of these reports reflects the tears of our people. We didn't just hear about their struggles, we saw them. There were moments that moved us to tears as well. Within this month, the University of Peradeniya will prepare a report for us. Through this report, you will see the results of your hard work as we address the people's issues over the coming months.
Following the ceremony, a special workshop was held to provide all necessary information to the Gammat the teams who will be meeting with the public starting tomorrow.
News First with the people.
The Inter-University Students' Federation, or the IUSF, staged a protest in front of the Fort railway station, highlighting several demands.
The Fort Magistrates Court issued an order preventing the Inter-University Student Federation from entering the Presidential Secretariat and the Ministry of Finance. This order was issued following a submission by the Fort Police. Subsequently, the group conducted their protest in front of the Fort railway station in Colombo. Their demands included allocating 3% of the 2025 budget to education, increasing the Mahapolo scholarship to 10,000 rupees, removing taxes on school textbooks and supplies, and resolving issues within universities.
මේ ආණ්ඩුව පත්
When this government was elected, they clearly stated in their policy declaration that 6% of the gross domestic product would be allocated to education. We are reiterating this demand. As an initial step, we are asking for 3% of this year's budget to be allocated to education.
After approximately 3 hours of protests, the group dispersed.
Is there a rice mafia in the country? Did anyone benefit from importing rice? Now these questions were raised or rather discussed in Parliament today.
Now we are talking about a rice and paddy mafia in Sri Lanka. When we look at the statistics reports, it is clear that there is a new mafia emerging, especially when we see how rice imported by Sirasa is being rejected. Ultimately, the burden falls entirely on the consumer. There is a procedure related to government tenders. According to this procedure, tenders are rejected. We believe that in the coming days, around 40,000 tons of rice will arrive in Sri Lanka by the 10th of January. Therefore, there is no shortage of rice in the market. However, there is a shortage of red rice. The reason for this shortage is that before the presidential election, you distributed 20 kilograms of rice, including red rice, to people who do not usually consume it. This caused a shortage. The Honourable Member has prepared a plan for purchasing paddy. Even if there is a shortage in the rice market, we will intervene to ensure that consumers are not affected by purchasing the necessary stock of paddy for 1.5 months. Currently, production costs have increased. Given these conditions, farmers are facing difficulties. Therefore, we need to know the price you intend to offer for a kilogram of paddy this season. We mentioned the figure of 130 because the production cost of a kilogram of paddy last season was 99 rupees and 75 cents. According to government statistics, we added 30% to that figure. This time, we will ensure the price of paddy is determined fairly to protect the farmers. We will also protect the consumers. As a government, we are committed to working with the Ministry of Trade to address this issue and ensure the stability of the rice market.
The Sri Lankan government says that it would revisit free trade agreements.
You all had asked for the Singapore Free Trade Agreement, which was in process, to be held because you all wanted to do some clarification. That's what you were just saying. I would like to ask, because the Singapore Free Trade Agreement has gone through a lot of study and it's something that's advantageous to the country. But at the same time, the government has taken a position to work on the EDCA agreement. So, while you all have agreed there, the Singapore Free Trade Agreement is much more simpler and straightforward. Why is there a delay? It's very important that it gets passed. I would like to know the position of the government regarding the Singapore Free Trade Agreement.
Honourable Deputy Minister.
And also EDCA.
The position of the government is that government is in favor of free trade agreements. The problem is, yes, this is our policy. I think you don't have to applaud because every country globally has grown through free trade agreements, but our experience with the free trade agreements have not been so good. The reason being not the agreement is bad. Reason being whether we had a industrialization strategy, whether we have a product development strategy to make benefits out of it. So since you asked about the Singapore agreement, the concern from the industry was basically due to Singapore is not a producing country. Singapore is more of a, they trade, right? So the concern was, how do you identify the country of origin? Now, how many products does Singapore has as a value-adding thing? And whether it's 30%, 40%, how do you figure this out was the concern of the industry. So that is one reason that we want to really look at this agreement, and it is not avoiding this. We need little bit of time. And on the ECTA, it is that we now early there were concerns within the ICTA which was originally proposed in 2018. Now we have to negotiate with the Indian government how to rectify those things. I'll give you one example. When I worked in India for 2 years, the Indian government wanted us to prove, my company to prove, that my skill does not exist in India. And we had to show that I am drawing a salary of $25,000 to ensure to give me permission to work in India for 2 years. So that is a level of restriction that was there. So therefore, what I am trying to say is on the ICTA also, the agreement has not been reached, the negotiations will start, right? So that what I'm trying to say is we are not against the free trade agreements, but we will negotiate, and the ones which have been signed will be reviewed is the government policy.
Sri Lanka's central bank aims to stabilize inflation around the target of 5% this year, consistent with the flexible inflation targeting framework. Central Bank Governor Dr. P. Nandalal Weerasinghe made this announcement at the event organized for Central Bank's policy agenda for 2025 and beyond.
Normalcy now is being restored and stability is attended through the implementation of much needed sound macroeconomic policies, including the monetary policy. Central Bank focus going forward obviously will continue to be on maintaining stable inflation around the target of 5% that we agreed with the Minister of Finance, while ensuring that the economy remains on track towards achieving sustained growth over the medium term, thereby ensuring prosperity for the nation. The deflationary environment resulting from one-off effect of supply-side price adjustment that will continue in early 2025 as per the current predictions. However, inflation is projected to converge to the target level of 5% during the latter half of the year, with the dissipation of these supply-side effects and accommodative conditions created by relaxed monetary policy. Until then, Central Bank will continue to submit comprehensive reports to the Parliament and also the public as required under the Central Bank Act, providing reasoning for missing the inflation target, despite it being on downside, with the aim of ensuring transparency and accountability of actions of the Central Bank. In fact, following the very high inflation episode we had from late 2021 to early 2023, we firmly believe that this temporary period of deflation would provide some respite to the general public by damping or managing the cost of living that already went up to a certain extent.
The central bank plans to collaborate closely with banks and other financial institutions to reduce the excessive interest rates still prevalent in the market.
With a view to making low interest rates credit accessible, Central Bank will closely work with banks and other financial institutions to reduce any excessive margins on interest rates that are still prevailing in certain market rates. While low interest rates have helped revive credit and contributed to improving overall business sentiment, they could also disproportionately hurt savers. However, unlike during the high inflation episodes, real returns on deposits have been positive, very largely positive, with inflation successfully being reined into low levels. Interest rates have their cycles, and Central Bank will maneuver interest rates to ensure that inflation is kept low and stable, with a view to promoting overall public welfare.
The central bank governor also noted that the near completion of the government's external debt restructuring and significant progress under the IMF EFF program as key factors in boosting investor confidence and ensuring the stability of the external sector.
The near completion of the government's external debt restructuring, coupled with significant progress made under the IMF EFF program, has created a solid foundation for boosting investor confidence and ensuring the stability of the external sector. In this regard, Central Bank will closely observe the developments and risks on the external front to advocate appropriate policies promptly. Sri Lanka has been able to record, as I said earlier, current account surplus in the last 2 years, and as economic activity picks up, the external current account is likely to record a deficit in this year. That's necessary for when the economy is picking up. Sri Lanka needs to maintain external current account at a sustainable level. A gradual recovery in import expenditure. Also, when economy is recovering, import expenditure also expected to grow. Particularly in the context of some of the relaxation, already introduced certain relaxation of vehicle imports. And also with the economic growing credit moving into the economy, there will be more demand for imports that we will expect that current account and also those flows, deficit will be supported by inflows of other areas from the services, worker remittances, and also which are now at the historically high levels. Journey towards ensuring the long-term stability in the external sector is an important objective. Will be essentially built upon under the IMF program to ensure implementation of necessary reforms to maintain overall macro stability, especially on the external sector. Obviously, our responsibility is we will continue to strive towards key commitment of rebuilding external buffers under the program by purchasing forex from the market and building more resilient and buffers for us to meet in any of the stresses and shocks going forward. This build-up of external buffers needs to be facilitated by sufficient foreign exchange inflows to the country by way of enhanced earnings of foreign exchange, both all from merchandise, service exports, or remittances, foreign direct investments.
Sri Lanka has welcomed almost 40,000 tourists in the first 5 days of January.
Sri Lanka has welcomed 39,415 tourists in the first 5 days of January 2025, marking a promising start to the year. Comparing these figures to previous years, Sri Lanka saw a total of 208,253 tourist arrivals in January 2024, which was a significant increase from the 102,545 arrivals recorded in January 2023. The substantial growth in 2024 was attributed to easing of travel restrictions and promotional campaigns aimed at boosting tourism. While the current figures for January 2025 are only for the first 5 days, they indicate a positive trend. Sri Lanka's tourism sector marked a significant milestone in 2024, welcoming over 2.05 million visitors, the highest annual total since 2019. This achievement represents a remarkable 38% year-on-year growth.
Sri Lanka's scenic train ride to Badula has been ranked among top global journeys by Lonely Planet.
The iconic Colombo to Badula train journey has been recognized by Lonely Planet as one of the world's most incredible train journeys to book in 2025. Ranked at number 17 out of 24, this scenic route offers travelers an unparalleled experience of Sri Lanka's diverse landscapes and vibrant greenery. Lonely Planet highlighted the journey's unique appeal, stating one of many unforgettable things about Sri Lanka is the variety and intensity of the color green throughout the year. And for train aficionados, there's no better way to appreciate the country's full, verdant spectrum than all-day rail journey from Colombo's urban gardens at sea level to tea plantations in the hill country via brain-spinning sensory doses of jungles and forests, paddy fields and palm trees, mountain and valleys, national parks and human habitation too. The Reunification Express in Vietnam has been ranked at number 1.
A JICA delegation visited Colombo port to assess the progress of current operations and review the impact of previous JICA-funded projects.
A high-level delegation led by Shohei Hara, Senior Vice President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, also known as JICA, visited Colombo Port to assess the progress of current operations and review the impact of previous JICA-funded projects. The visit focused on evaluating key infrastructure projects previously funded by JICA, such as the Jaya Container Terminal and the Unity Container Terminal. These initiatives have been instrumental in enhancing the operational efficiency and capacity of Colombo Port, which serves as a vital hub for regional maritime trade. The delegation was given a comprehensive tour of the port facilities by officers from the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Shohei Hara and his team expressed their appreciation for the efforts made by SLPA to maximize the impact of JICA-funded projects and also reaffirmed JICA's commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's port infrastructure, which plays a pivotal role in the country's economic growth and connectivity.
A press conference to officially launch the World Press Photo Exhibition was held in Colombo.
World Press Photo Exhibition by the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Sri Lanka, in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Press Institute, was officially launched in Colombo today.
Today, we gather to celebrate the art of storytelling through photography, a medium that transcends barriers of language and culture to connect us to the stories that matter most. This exhibition is not just a display of photographs. It's a celebration of humanity, resilience, and the universal need for connections.
Photographers can give us a deeper connection with the topics the journalist is presenting, as well as a better understanding of the society around us. Each photograph carries a story with it. It makes us reflect on events that happened. Looking through the lens of a photographer can help societies and people reflect on their own opinion and perceptions, as well as spark social change.
The World Press Photo Exhibition 2024 will take place in Colombo, Jaffna and Galle from the 10th of January.
A media briefing was held in Colombo to announce edX Expo 2025.
edX Expo 2025, Sri Lanka's largest education exhibition and job fair, will take place on the 17th, 18th and the 19th of January at the BMICH. It will also be held at the Kandy City Centre on the 25th and 26th of January.
Education is the foundation upon which great futures are built. Whether you are looking to pursue a career in technology, health engineering, business or any other field, know that edX exhibition brings together some of the finest institutions and organizations. This exhibition is not just a place to discover the right courses, but also an opportunity to gain insight into the real-world applications of your education through interactions with leading employers and industry experts.
The event saw the participation of organizers, partners and representatives from leading media institutions.
The ceremonial induction of the General President of the Sri Lankan Association for the Advancement of Science took place yesterday.
Professor Udenipi Nawagamuwa was inaugurated as the new General President of the Sri Lankan Association for the Advancement of Science. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya graced the event as a chief guest.
As Sri Lanka's foremost scientific body, SLAS represents a diverse and dynamic community with over 10,000 members spanning various disciplines, from medicine and engineering to agriculture, social sciences, and computer science. SLAS is a true testament to the richness and breadth of Sri Lanka's scientific landscape.
The ceremony was also attended by several prominent figures, including Professor Gomikudu Gamsoriya, the President's Senior Advisor on Science and Technology, as well as Chancellors, Vice-Chancellors and other guests from numerous universities.
Tens of thousands of people have been told to evacuate as a fast-growing fire destroys homes in the Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles. Many were forced to abandon cars in the seaside neighborhood sandwiched between Malibu and Santa Monica, which have also issued evacuation orders.
The out-of-control Palisades fire is blazing through about 5 football fields a minute and has burned more than 2,900 acres. Los Angeles has declared an emergency and officials warned that the worst is yet to come as tornado-like winds complicate firefighters' battles. 2 other fires have erupted in Los Angeles County, the 100-acre strong Hearst fire north of San Fernando and the Eaton fire in Altadena, which has grown to 1,000 acres in a matter of hours. At a Pasadena senior care home, workers workers raced to evacuate residents, with the Eaton blaze just a block away. More than 200,000 homes and buildings are without power in the county. Drivers began abandoning their cars across Los Angeles' main roadways early Tuesday after authorities told people to clear the roads. California firefighters battled wind-whipped wildfires that tore across Los Angeles area, destroying homes, clogging roadways as tens of thousands fled and straining resources as officials prepared for the situation to worsen. Flames were being pushed by Santa Ana winds topping 60 meters per hour in some places. The winds were expected to increase overnight, producing isolated gusts that could top 100 meters per hour in mountainous and foothills, including in areas that haven't seen substantial rain in months.
New Zealand cruised to a 2-0 ODI series victory over visiting Sri Lanka earlier today with a game in hand. The Kiwis secured a convincing 113-run win in the second ODI.
The rain-interrupted encounter played in Hamilton was limited to 37 overs per innings. Batting first, the Kiwis pair of Rachin Ravindra and Mark Chapman piled on the runs after Will Young was dismissed early on. Rachin Ravindra top-scored for the hosts with a 79-run knock, while Mark Chapman scored 62. Sri Lankan spinner Mahesh Theekshana entered the record books as the 7th Sri Lankan to record an ODI hat-trick, claiming 4 wickets for 44 runs. New Zealand posted 255 runs for the loss of 9 wickets at the end of their innings. Chasing 256 for victory, Sri Lanka were bowled out for 142 runs in 30.2 overs. Kusal Mendes put up a lone fight at the crease, scoring 64 runs. William O'Rourke bagged 3 wickets for the Kiwis. The third and final match of the series will be played on Saturday, the 11th, in Auckland.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for joining us.
Good night.